But why would he come over and say, we're going to arrest you?
You know what? Maybe because we do have an ordinance on using the amplified systems and the bullhorns without a permit. You have to have a permit here.
They could have written me a ticket, and then if I kept doing it, arrested me.
And then after the ticket, you'd arrest him. Then you'd escalate up to an arrest.
But he didn't say the bullhorn.
Yeah.
He said this protest.
Yeah, I don't think you can arrest somebody specifically for protesting just for the sake of protesting. It depends on what you're doing.
As long as you don't block streets.
Yeah, you don't want to block streets.
If you want to have 100,000 people out and take over a major street, you have to, just because it would shut everything down.
Well, I'll put it this way. I remember when I did the plan for the Democratic National Convention in L.A. Back in 2000 when I was at the California Highway Patrol, and I remember meeting with Senator Tom, what's his name?
Daschle.
No, state senator who used to be married to Jane Fonda, Tom Hayden. And he started asking me, hey, what are you going to do when the naked lesbians get up on the freeway and shut down the freeway? And I said, look, I'm hoping that you as a responsible leader will not have folks come up on our freeway and block lanes, because I'd be concerned about people becoming angry and getting out of their cars and starting to beat on the protesters. I mean, it's for their own safety. So I think that we have our special response unit that handles crowd control. Their organizational model is protect the first. Protect people's first right amendments to rights to gather, to protest the government.
But then there is the public safety issue.
Then there's the public safety. See, what the biggest problem is not people that are being loud. It's peaceful protesters that get infiltrated by a handful of, anarchist type that next thing you know, they're hurling, they get in the middle of a peaceful crowd and they start throwing rocks and bottles.
Oh, did you hear about Denver where the police and the Denver Post got caught attacking their own police in a staged event?
No.
6 months ago?
Don't know anything about
Google, I'm going to put up on screen for everybody right now. Guys, Google this. I'm going to get the exact headline. ACL looks at police attacking police in Denver. Police attack police in Denver and dressed up like anarchists.
Yeah,
for the news cameras to then demonize them, and the other cops didn't even know that these were police attacking them.
Well, I'd have a problem if that was the case. We're not in the business of inciting riots.
But I mean, you're aware in history that the police agencies have done that.
Well, I'll put it this way: I wouldn't be surprised if something like that has happened, because at law enforcement, there's good and bad and everything, and sometimes people become misguided. That's why it's important to have proper oversight. You have to make sure we have the appropriate level of supervision and management to ensure that we're doing the right thing.
But who is commanding police in Montreal, Canada, in Denver, in Seattle to do this?
I don't know. I can't speak for other agencies.
Well, we know who. Delta Force. That was in the Seattle Post-Intelligencer and the Seattle Times. And speaking of that, last time I brought up troops on the streets, you were giggling about it. But I know you're a news hound because you're usually informed on everything I bring up. Are you aware that the Army War College, Northcom, and others have announced they're going to have 20,000 combat troops to engage the American people, and the Army War College says that their new mission will be to suppress civil unrest inside the United States?
I'm not familiar with that now.
Here is the Army Times.
Yeah.
Exhibit A. Exhibit A, United States Northern Command, U.S. Northern Command gains dedicated response force.
Uh-huh.
And if you read, they say it's for WMDs and stuff, but then they add for civil unrest. Here's Northcom presents Brigade Homeland Tours, regular Army. Here's another one. Mm-hmm. That's, I believe that's Newsweek.
Well,
here's the Phoenix Business Journal. Arizona police say they are prepared as War College warns military must prep for unrest. IMF warns of economic riots.
Yeah, what I think that what you're probably talking about is instances where the resources of the local state and county governments are overwhelmed, that there may be a need at some point to have troops assist in quelling civil unrest. What I mean by civil unrest, I'm talking about violent unrest.
Burning cities.
Yeah, I was in L.A. during the Rodney King riots, and I can tell you that law enforcement response was pretty embarrassing. We
stood down.
Yeah, it was.
Why did that happen?
Lack of leadership. I was extremely angry because when you see people starting to burn down, and you just roll everybody that's clear. You just send out an all point, a call out for help for everybody. And my philosophy is that you put as many cops there as soon as you can. As soon as people see you making arrests and taking appropriate action, that will have a deterrent effect on anybody else.
If not the hysteria.
It just starts spreading. And so, I mean, during that, we lost 50 American lives. I don't remember the exact number.
You know what turned the tide, though? A lot of it was the Koreans and others up on top of their businesses.
Well, they had to protect their own businesses in some of the locations. And, to me, that was a very embarrassing situation for me because we should never, as police officers, let it get to a point where we need to have somebody else come in and do our jobs. We're the peacemakers in this country. We're the peacekeepers in this country, and our job is to not let organizational pride get in the way. Some departments may be hesitant to call other departments. I'll be the first to be on the radio asking for help from other agencies here in Central Texas if things start getting out of our hand for us.
Oh, you have the Denver Post. I'll put it up on screen, please. ACLU wants probe into police stage DNC protest, and it says right there, undercover police attacked other police, pretended to be violent, inflamed other protesters and officers during the most intense night of the 4-day event. So we got there. We're busy getting a rent car. So we won't drive around in our RV. We drove there. And We Are Change, Luke's there, and he says, these guys look like cops, and they're throwing things at other cops. Yeah. And then I watched Fox News, and it was, look at the evil anarchist protesters attacking police. And I said, looks like it's staged, but we don't know. I wasn't there. And then it turns out it was.
Yeah, well, if it turns out that it was, I can tell you one thing that won't happen here as long as I'm a police chief. I won't tolerate.
Well, it was. The police admitted it.
Is that what that said? I didn't see it.
No, throw it back up on screen for him. See? Denver Post right there.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this new TV thing we're doing.
Well, yeah.
We could just put everything up. And see, this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
I got on talk radio, Access TV in 95, and I was covering the Federal Reserve, but I was more like a Ron Paul guy, more mainstream version. Yeah. People started calling me going, there were black helicopters south of Houston. They blew up a building, and I would laugh at them. And then I started seeing in other parts of Texas, and I found out Delta Force would covertly lease a building and buy a nursing home or in the middle of town and then blow it up. I ended up going to these events, and buildings are on fire, and there's troops running around, and police are coming up saying, turn your cameras off. And then you'd find out it was an urban warfare drill. And then the San Antonio police chief, Ale Philippus, refused to be paid off. They brought bags of cash in. I went to his office. I had an interview with the police chief. Mm-hmm. And he said that when I said no, they went and bribed other city officials to do an urban warfare drill, which I had the RAND Corporation documents that it was to condition the public for future martial law and to acclimate the police and governors to accept this. Now, then I said, okay, this black helicopter stuff's all real. I'm going to start going to these public drills with Marines. So I went to Oakland, and we got Hebron, Maryland, and we'd have police walk over with Marines. They turn their cameras off, but we'd sneak around the bushes and get it. And they would have role players screaming, I'm an American, not the camp. And the Marines would say, get ready for an execution. They put Americans down on their knees. And they practice shooting us in the back of the head. It's all on video, sir.
Okay.
I can give you all these. I'm telling you, just like I showed you the Denver Post. Yeah. And I went on the air, and I totally changed in 1998. I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is insane. And because they know most of the police chiefs are nice, most of the public are nice, they're going to incrementally give us excuses, incrementally. And see now, we got to have them for civil unrest, the Army, regular Army deployed in America. See, that's my awakening. This is real. This stuff's real. People can differ on my interpretation, but I've witnessed Marines training to take our guns with people saying, I'm an American, please no, not the camp. And then when CNN reported, Marines are training in Oakland today to go to Bosnia. It wasn't Bosnia. They were training for America, and I was there. And we climbed through fences, and we climbed around on our bellies. I've had troops before to confiscate footage from us in San Antonio.